In this video, we are going to learn about cursor in MySQL. Okay, so now this is a completely new topic. So first in this video, we are just going to learn about this concept cursor. Okay, and in the next videos, we are going to implement this. So let's understand. A cursor allows to iterate a set of rows returned by a query and then process them accordingly. So what it says is whenever we get a result set, let's say whenever I fire any query, so I get a result set, but only in case of select query. Okay, if I'm trying to fetch something from the database, okay, we make use of select statement. So whenever a select statement is executed, it returns us a result set. Okay, that result set is nothing but our output. So that's why cursors are associated with only select queries, because what it does is whenever we get that result set, it is in the form of table only, right? So cursor allows us to iterate those set of rows which are returned, okay, which we got as the output. So we can iterate through those rows, we can access the values, we can perform any operation, we can process them and can do various other operations with that data. Okay, so basically let's make it more easy. Let's say if I have a table called student, okay, I will just write here I have a table called student stu, and if I fire any query, a select query, so I get a output. So let's say I got 4 rows as my output. So what cursor will allow me, it will allow me to iterate these 4 rows, so I can access the value, I can process them, I can perform some operation or can do any other operation. Okay, so this is what cursor does. We create a cursor inside a stored procedure to handle the result set returned by a query. Now stored procedure. Now I know we haven't covered this topic, but procedure in easy language is called a function. Okay, up till now in MySQL, we were just firing queries. Okay, we were inserting data into the table, we were updating, deleting, we were fetching, and we were doing all these operations. So we know that okay, MySQL is a database management system which allows us to interact with the data. But even we can do normal programming in MySQL. That means I can write if conditions, loops, I can declare variables. So basically I can do normal programming in MySQL, and that is known as PLSQL. But that is a little bit advanced topic, and I know we haven't covered that because this course was completely designed for just an introduction to the backend development. But in order to implement this concept cursor, we will require those concepts. Okay, so that's why we will be using if conditions, loops, we will be declaring variables while implementing cursor. So that is known as PLSQL. PLSQL means programming in SQL. I will just write here PLSQL. Okay, so whenever we want to implement cursor, it should be inside a procedure. Procedure means a function, and we all know a function is a block of code that is used to perform a certain task. Okay, now in MySQL we call it a procedure, and in normal programming language we call functions. MySQL cursors are read-only and non-scrollable. Okay, so this was the entire concept of cursor. So basically what happens is very first thing that you need to keep in mind is cursor only works with select statements, because whenever we fire any select query, it returns us a result set, and cursor works only on result set. It is used to iterate the result set, we can access the values, we can perform any operation. Okay, so for this purpose we make use of cursor. So it works only with select statements. Now steps for working with a cursor. Now let's understand how to implement a cursor. Very first step is we need to declare the cursor with select statement. This is our first step. We will create our cursor, we will declare it with the select statement. Our second step will be to open the cursor. meaning open the cursor name, meaning initializes the result set. We are just initializing the result set. The third step is fetch cursor name into variable. Now let's say if I got 4 rows, I'm just showing the rows as this. Okay, so this is the first row, this is the second row, this is the third row, and this is the fourth row. So initially our cursor will point to the first row, and then we will keep this cursor inside a loop. So as soon as I fetch data of my first row, then cursor will point to the next row. Similarly, it will keep pointing to the next row, and what we can do is we can access these values and store them inside a variable so that I can use it in future as well. Okay, so we can just access the column values and we can store them inside a variable. Then the fourth step is to close the cursor name. Once each and every operation is done, we can close this cursor to deactivate this cursor and release any memory associated with it. So these are the 4 steps that we need to follow while implementing a cursor. Okay. Now this is the complete concept of the cursor, means the basic introduction to the cursor. Now what we are going to do is in the next video we will be creating a cursor, and in the third video we will be executing that, means we will be using that cursor, and in the fourth video we will be using this cursor in PHP, means how to use cursors in PHP. That is what we are going to learn. Okay, so this is the entire concept of cursor in MySQL. Thank you.